Hello viewers and welcome to a new STM32 World video. Today's video is probably going to be a bit of a rant, so bear with me. I just, if I come across something I don't like, I kind of need to express myself, I believe would be the term. Now, I think ST, or it would look like ST is actually killing HAL. And well, watch this video to the end and you will understand what I am talking about. As usual, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below. If you don't like this video, please, you're welcome to click the thumb down, but please leave a comment and tell me what you don't like. That is the only way that I can actually improve these videos. So please leave a comment and tell me what you didn't like. Before I get into this video, I want to give you a little background of my background, because that explains why I intensely dislike what I'm about to talk about later. Now, my education, I do have a degree in electronic engineering, obviously many years ago. But after I finished my education, I ended up working with Unix systems and networking for most of my career. That is what I have been doing. But the interest in electronic have always been there, and about maybe 10 years ago, I started sort of, not professionally, but more like a hobby thing. I started to mess around with some electronic. Internet of Things was coming out. Expressive Chinese company made their ESP8266. I think that was about 10 or 11 years ago they came out with that. And I jumped into that, and I actually made a couple of projects, and I started doing PCB design again, something I had not done for 25-30 years. It was quite interesting how much the technology had moved in those years. So it was quite good fun. But I ended up really struggling with some parts of the ESP32, especially environment, and that was the fact that they forced you, more or less. I know it is in theory possible to run it without, but they forced you to use FreeRTOS. And I came across a couple of projects where I need very precise timing, and that was just impossible to achieve proper in that ESP32 with FreeRTOS and extremely slow reaction to interrupts. And because of that, I started looking at STM32. Maybe 10 years ago or 9 years ago. And ESP32, there was just a lot of things I liked about it. I liked the fact that they have the same MCU in different packaging, so you can say, okay, I need this many pins, boom, I pick that one. And oh, I need a bit more UARTs, okay, I can pick that one. So you had this enormous selection covered in an earlier video. There is about 15 or 1600 different STM32s, and that is just amazing. Another thing I kind of liked was the HAL libraries. The HAL libraries, some of the benefits of the HAL libraries is that if you are making your application for one of these 1500 MCUs, it is maybe not straight over, but it is relatively easy to port that application to another one of those, because the HAL libraries are designed to kind of at a source level be the same no matter what MCU you are using. And I mean, that's fantastic. As I have proved, I've made a video a couple of days ago which have not been published yet, but I'm playing around with bit banging PVM. And that one I actually start out using HAL, and then I optimize it and end up doing it with bare metal programming simply to optimize the performance of this. And that is basically how I think it should be used. Starting out with bare metal does, to me, not make sense at all. It just takes so much more time, and it is not worth it. But starting out with HAL and then figuring out where's your bottlenecks, where can this be performed, to me, optimized, to me, make much more sense than starting out with bare metal alone. So while HAL is by no means perfect, it is actually a very, very strong, in my opinion, selling point of STM32. It is a relatively strong library, and it is quite capable and quite easy to work with, and most importantly, very, very easy to port to another MCU in the same series. That was a bit of background. Now on to what this video is about, because no, there's one more thing I want to say. I also discovered in my early days with STM32 that while I absolutely despised FreeRTOS on ESP32 because they forced it down my throat and I had to use it, I actually ended up kind of enjoying FreeRTOS. This has been mentioned in earlier videos as well on STM32, because they don't force you to use it, and when you use it, you still have the same low level. The lower layers, they are still exactly the same. You just put FreeRTOS on top for whatever tasks you have that are not all that mission critical in timing. So it is possible to combine the best of two worlds. I actually made a video earlier, go back and find it, where I did a dual DAC with sampling rate of, I think I came up to about 500 kilohertz if I not hit 1 megahertz sampling rate, and did that with FreeRTOS, and it worked absolutely flawlessly. I managed to control the timing and everything was good. So now on to this video. Now, I am sort of remotely involved in a project, and they are what happened in that project is that they talked about switching to the STM32 H562 MCU. Now, I have never used this MCU. It's a relatively new one. I don't know, a year or two ago they came out with that, ST Microelectronics. So I decided to have a look at it. Now, first of all, price-wise, it is priced at the LC PCB here at about $4.30, dropping down to, let's say at 100-ish, about $3. So around $3. Now, I'm normally using the F405 for many projects, and that one is about $3.20, dropping down to maybe $2.50 or so. So it is a little bit more expensive than the F405, but not massively so. It is still a very approachable MCU and not expensive, and same packaging, same everything. So looking at the data sheet, well, it is about the F405 is running at 168 megahertz. This one is running at 250, so it is almost 50% faster than the F405. That's cool. It's got double the flash, 2 megabyte. It's got 128. It's got 3 times as much RAM. It's got those math accelerators, which I might go back and cover in another video once I have a development board with one of these MCUs, if I ever get that. So all in all, for only $1 more than an F405, this seems like a wonderful alternative, and I kind of got excited to say, okay, I want to give. They got a lot of security stuff, which is cool when you need it, but I probably never will need that. But it is interesting that they have it there. So apart from browsing the datasheet and looking at this, another thing that I would always do when coming and across a new processor to see if there's any pitfalls is to look at the STM32 Cube MX setup of that processor. So let's look at the setup of this processor. The H562, which is almost identical to the 563. I can't remember, I looked it up, but I can't remember the exact differences between those two. And hopefully it comes up now. There we go. So going through all this setup, there are a few differences from the F405. You have all this cache configuration. I have not dug into what exactly that is. I noticed that the trace and debug has been separated. Normally it's in sys. It is not anymore. It's been separated down into another section. No idea why, but it's just what they did. Now, messing around with this, I would look at the connectivity. Typically, what kind of peripherals do we have? What kind of I/O do we have on this processor? And this one definitely got the USB. That's cool. And it looks like, so a full speed USB port with internal PHY, which is okay, cool. But normally when you're configuring the USB in an F405 or any STM32 MCU I have come across, you will have down under the middleware, you will have the USB up here somewhere. And would you know, it is missing on the H562. It is missing completely. Instead, there's something they call USBX. Now, I actually heard about the USBX at some point, and apparently it actually has some things included in this that has not ever been fixed in the normal HAL USB F layer. USB. Yeah. So, but what apparently is that USBX is part of the ThreadX, which is, or Microsoft Azure. The ST made some kind of deal with Microsoft Azure, and this is it. And they decided not to bother with HAL USB on this MCU. Now, this is where I go completely. This is my first showstopper for this, because look, what if I have an old project, I want to upgrade that project to using this MCU, but I have to rewrite the entire firmware because I no longer have the HAL. Why didn't, it's just pure laziness or stinginess on ST's part. I mean, there's absolutely no reason they couldn't have made a HAL library for this MCU. They just decided against it for whatever reason, and they definitely have not explained that reason. Now, the cool things about this is up here that you actually can apparently include composite just by selecting more. Now, that is cool. That is something I have requested on HAL version of USB for ages. It's always been a nightmare to use to make composite devices. I have done it a few times and it is possible, but it is absolutely a nightmare to do so. So now that's very, very cool. So looking at all this, I mean, they want to have this USBX, which is part of, or is it part of ThreadX? So I started Googling around a little bit. Can this actually work on the older series? So can you use USBX on an F4 series? And this is where it goes completely wrong. Because even worse wrong than it was before. So if I create a project with my F405 and try to enable find USBX. Now this one I have done USB, many times. So it's a bit slow, sorry. Waiting. And then use it, and here we go. So same thing, we can enable the USB. The 4 5 actually have high-speed USB as well as an option, so warning to new players there. That is one thing that does not exist in the H56 series, so there's no high-speed USB, only full-speed USB. But anyway, if you go down to the middleware and computing, the one I'm talking about is, hang on, maybe it disappears when, oh, it's up here, right? So you could, no, I can't find the USB here. Never mind, it's gotta be here somewhere. Maybe it disappears when you enable this one, I don't know. But down here you have the Azure RTOS, which used to be called ThreadX, and you have USBX as part of that. So you can, but for some absolutely bizarre reason, you cannot run, or I can't find a way to run USBX without the RTOS. If you try to remove RTOS from this, and let's generate the code. So I just picked USBX, but no ThreadX RTOS. And if I try to compile that, it starts bitching about build project. Here, let's look at those. It needs things from generic UX port. It needs things from the ThreadX. And the only way I have found, I mean, I don't know if you can go out and find this single file and just use that. I tried that at some point actually, and it's then complains about some missing things which is included in that file. So as far as I can see, there are no way to compile this without ThreadX enabled. So next question will be, can we then enable ThreadX and simply don't use it? And well, I mean, it is entirely possible that you can make this work. It should be possible to work. But if you start including the ThreadX, it includes the complete ThreadX to a point where, if we look at the code down here, it starts the ThreadX up. And that means that it will never reach our super loop down here. ThreadX have taken over. And here we are. This is exactly why I ended up disliking ESP32. I will not rule out that ThreadX might be a great RTOS. It probably is. But I don't want it stuffed down my throat. I will pick it if I need it for a specific use, but I still want to be able to run this stuff in bare metal. And as far as I can see, it is not possible to use USBX without at least some part of ThreadX enabled, and that to me is totally unacceptable. ST had a great plan. HAL, which they have spent an enormous amount of time on, is a great library for making cross-porting between, and is also part of the learning process, that you can take one MCU, you can learn to use that, and then none of the other MCUs will be a surprise to you. It is completely unacceptable that I look at a new STM32 here, and everything I knew about USB, which is quite a lot, is completely useless now, and I have to learn something entirely new. That is just not how it should be done. And they are one of the selling points of an STM32 is completely gone as far as I'm concerned if this is the way they are going. Now, I'm sure this is the way they're going, and I'm sure that is part of a master plan. And it would appear, in my book anyway, that ST is hell-bent on destroying their own HAL library and move on to some Azure ThreadX environment that everybody then have to use if you want to use this. Well, here's a message for you, ST. I ain't going that way. I'll find something else. I'll find another MCU. Maybe I'll look at Texas. Maybe I'll look at it. I don't know. But I don't want things stuffed down my throat. Not even HAL. I mean, the only reason HAL for me was acceptable was the fact that I could bypass it anytime I wanted to. It was not something that got stuffed down my throat. Cube MX, yeah, it by default will generate HAL libraries, but it is possible, entirely possible, to go over to the project manager and switch. See, you cannot remove HAL. GPIO, it doesn't even have HAL. You can do low level. Here you can do low level UART. You can do low level USB. And it's not even HAL because it requires ThreadX. So yeah, it's I don't know if this is an oversight or they are changing direction, but this to me is even weirder than the fact that they don't have Wi-Fi, which I was rambling about in an earlier video. Sorry, ST, it's not good enough. Get HAL libraries for that USB on the H series, or at least make sure that the USBX will work on all the MCUs. Then I can tolerate it without ThreadX. I don't want ThreadX. What if I use FreeTOS? What if I don't want an RTOS because I like my event loop? You don't decide how I'm going to write my code. Unacceptable. So that's about it, my rant of today. Let me hear down in the comments down below what you think about this situation, whether you think it's reasonable that ST is forcing ThreadX down my throat, or your throat. That is what this is all about, not about me. That's about it. So have a wonderful rest of the day.